Welcome to another edition of This Week in Wisconsin Prep Hockey. I will be your guest host tonight, Bill Berg. MJ Hammett is on special assignment tonight. Also, our normal panel, Bill Berg Jr. and Del Scanlon. And right now we have a couple of guests with us. You may have seen their stories pop up recently on our website. Matt Carey has been doing some player profiles. And 2 weeks ago, he profiled Autumn Cooper. And just today, we posted the profile of Kendall Sundby. And we have Autumn and Kendall with us tonight. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna jump right in, and I know Matt covered a lot of stuff in the interviews. We want to get a little more in depth on some couple items. So I'll let Kendall, you decide. Do you want to talk about Team Wisconsin first or the current high school season first?
Let's start with Team Wisconsin, I guess.
Okay. Team Wisconsin, you guys had a very good fall season. Looking at the games, what do you go? 18, 5, and 2 on the season. Played all over he played in started out in Massachusetts on Labor Day weekend, a lot of games in Minnesota. How did you guys feel about that? I mean, unfortunately, it's got your record up there, but none of the stats were entered. So first of all, which one of you had more points on the fall Team Wisconsin?
Honestly, I don't know who had the most on our team.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. We don't really keep a constant track of that as much as other teams, but I definitely say this fall season was super fun and it was definitely one of our stronger of our past T-Dub seasons.
For sure.
So have you seen or played the teams that you're going to have to get through to get to regionals or nationals or anything like that?
Yeah, we played a series against the Madison Capitals, who we played for state. We also played Windy City out of Chicago and a couple other teams that we'll have to play to get to nationals. We unfortunately didn't get to play the Chicago Mission, which is going to be a big competition for us, but we fared pretty good against all the teams around here. So
You like your chances there.
yeah, for sure.
What was the highlight of the fall season for? Well, let's start with you, Autumn. What was the highlight of the fall season for you?
My highlight for the fall season was definitely the NIT tournament, which is a pretty big tournament in Minnesota, and we ended up winning our division for that, so that was pretty special.
Kendall?
For mine, I'd say NIT as well, but I also like starting out the year out in Mass. Just getting the whole team together in place most people haven't played yet. We were missing a couple girls, but all in all, we got good team bonding out there, met our coaches, and there's a lot of memories that will probably never fill from being out there. So
That is a different experience out there. We went out to Boston a couple of years ago, and it's quite a bit different than Wisconsin.
no, for sure.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Kendall. That was a super fun experience to be able to start the year out there and get to know all the girls and our coaches. So
Hey, I see Matt figured out how to get on. Matt Carey is also with us as a guest tonight.
Great. Well, I'm glad Kendall and Autumn made it, and I'm the last one to join. We don't use Zoom at work. We use a different, so I had to jump through some hoops to get on here, but I'm glad I made it. We'll see if I can get my video to work.
All righty. Well, we were just talking with them about Team Wisconsin, and now we're going to get into the regular season or the high school season, the important season. And I noticed that in the state player stats, you guys are like 1 and 2, each with 28 goals. Autumn's got a few more assists, probably because number 3 is Michaela Renke, who also happens to be on the Superior team. Is she any good, Autumn?
yes, she is really good.
Does she just like knock in your rebounds or what?
I'd say we work pretty well together. So not just all rebounds, not at all, but
You actually set up plays and pass and stuff?
yes, we do. We do a
Okay.
lot.
I noticed also that, well, fortunately, you guys are in different sectionals. So you could both play at state this year. Well, Autumn, you were there last year. We watched you in awe. And you guys came up just a little bit short. And Kendall, you guys got knocked off by Hudson in the regional. Right now, if we look at our top sixes, your teams are each the highest rated in your section. I mean, Autumn, you got to go through Central Wisconsin. You also have Hayward in there, and of course, you've got to deal with Hudson again this year. But what do you guys feel your chances are of making it to state this year?
Coop, you can go first, buddy.
I would like to say our chances are really high, but we got some good teams to get through our section. I mean, we played Central Wisconsin, and they're a solid group of girls. They're pretty deep, and then Hayward as well. They're competitive teams, so it's going to be a grind to get to state again. But we've been working for it. So
Yeah, I is that sectional final in Mosinee, or is that
it is actually in Mosinee.
really?
Yeah, last year though it was supposed to be held in Mosinee, and then Hayward knocked out Central Wisconsin, so we moved it up to Spooner. So
I remember that one. I streamed that one.
Oh yes, because that one it was every team in between well, the Wausau area and Superior, every team in between along the road there is part of that Hayward co-op. I mean, every town is part of that Hayward co-op. I mean, you got Spooner and Rice Lake and Hayward and yeah, they're all part Ashland. Whatever route you take to get from Wausau to Superior, you go through somebody who's in that co-op. You guys got any questions, Bill, Dell?
Not about the current season so much. You guys have both made your D1 commits. What does that feel like? There's not a lot of WIAA girls who move on to play D1 women's hockey.
Personally, for me, my experience was really good. Just along the whole recruiting process. I know our Team Wisconsin head coach, Brian Poshak, is very good about trying to get all the girls out of Team Wisconsin and into good college programs. So I know he helped me. I'm sure he helped Coop a lot. I don't know. I felt like Maine was a really good fit for me. Felt like a home away from home, sort of. So I feel like it was kind of just a blessing that I felt like I worked really hard for a long time. So I'm very happy where I'm at right now.
Okay, so
I
when you win the Molly Engstrom Award for the third time this year, are you gonna bring the plaques and have her autograph them when you go out there to school?
No.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Autumn. Go ahead.
I'd have to agree with Kendall. Coach Poshak, he's been a really big help, and you can see if you go through our Team Wisconsin list of girls, a lot of them are committed currently to good D3 schools. So he helped me a lot in the process, and I'm super excited about my future in Bemidji. So
Okay. Both your coaches end up scheduling a few games against the Minnesota teams. How does that help you guys and then come back and be playing against the other teams here in Wisconsin?
I know for us, we end up playing like 2 Minnesota teams a year for Fusion. I know Coop plays a couple more teams than we do because she's on the border, but we always play them right away, try to get good competition in our system right away, see how we're going to fare up against some of the Wisconsin teams. So I think it's a good thing that we're right on the border and we're able to jump across real quick or have them come across and compete against some pretty good Minnesota teams.
What would be the best team for both of you that you've played this year? or if it's not the best, if you had, a couple of the top teams you've played.
Our two losses so far this season have been to Grand Rapids and Duluth Marshall. So both Minnesota teams that are really strong, and we also have Duluth coming up and Proctor Hermantown. So those ones are marked on the schedule. Those are also pretty solid teams, and so we like having those tough games coming into playoffs here. But I would say that our toughest Wisconsin games so far have been Central Wisconsin and then the Fusion as well. So.
Oh, get to play your teammate there, your friend.
Yeah.
On some of those Minnesota teams, are there the teams you've played against? Do they have some of their players? Are they committed D1?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Would it be one player, two players? How many kids on some of those teams that you've played do they have per team that are committed?
Right off the top of my head, I know there's one from Grand Rapids committed Division One, one from Duluth Marshall committed Division One, and then two from Proctor Hermantown that'll be going to Bemidji with me. So
Oh, some future teammates. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
got a chance to get to know them in the corners
yeah.
before you're maybe potentially are roommates. Well, that's good. And then for your team, Wisconsin, you guys had a great fall. I don't know I got on late. I don't know if you shared that with everyone. I think Brian Poshak, he told me that you won your league, and that was rare, very uncommon, he said. If you wanted to elaborate on that.
Yeah, so our U19 team has historically for Team Wisconsin struggled a little bit, both playing in Minnesota and just against our state teams that we have to play in our regional teams. So we definitely had a way above average year this year. During the season, we were focused on getting above 500, and obviously you can see with our schedule, we kind of blew that out of the water. So I think everyone was working really hard, and then once we hit high school, Poshak makes sure that we don't lose any steam, and we're still working on stuff that he knows that we need to get better on. We know we need to get better on. So when we come around back in the spring, we're able to win state and hopefully move on to regionals and then nationals after that.
So when you get to the state for that the postseason, what are the teams that you have to play against to get to the regionals? Is it the Madison and Milwaukee?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Did you play those teams at all in the fall?
Yeah, we split with the Capitals. We lost one and we won one, and then we beat the Ads. So
Okay. All right. So you've already seen those teams. And then you're when the WIA season's over, is it the following week after state that you have your, the tier one girls or the tier one U19 state tournament? Is it the immediate week following the WIA state tournament?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that Thursday, Friday, or that weekend right after like the award ceremony and state tournament for WIA.
Okay. So you get to ramp up real quickly then. And then I mean, just because there's a good chance you two will be in the state tournament at Cap Ice.
yeah,
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance. Well, based on the rankings where you're at, I think in Berg, they're 1 and 3. Is that correct? Superior's 1 and Fusion are 3.
Correct.
Okay, so there's a real good chance you guys will face each other, or at least end up in state. That would be, and then so you'd have your state for WIA, and then the following week would the tier one be back at Cap Ice, or is it a different rink?
I believe it's normally in Fond du Lac, but sometimes they do switch it up. Like during the fall, we played Caps at Cap Ice, and then we played Ads at a different rink. So I don't know for sure where it's at, but it's normally in Fond du Lac.
Yeah, looking at the Team Wisconsin website, it does say March 8th, 9th, and 10th in Fond du Lac.
Okay. Okay, on an Olympic sheet. So yeah, the big surface there. Okay. Well, good. I'm sorry, I probably interrupted you, Bill.
No,
Some of your questions.
I kind of went through all of my stuff.
Well, that's good. Well, good stuff. Well, I wanted to say thank you to Kendall and to Autumn for taking time with me when we wrote those articles. I also want so I really, really appreciate that because I know you're busy here during the season. And I know, Kendall, I had to call or text you back several times because my computer crashed when we had our initial conversation. I also wanted to say thank you to Brian Poshak. He was very helpful in for me writing those 2 articles for you, the player spotlights, along with Coach Cranston at the Fusion. He was very helpful. In fact, I called him during I think he was watching one of the NFL playoff games, and I interrupted him. So I really want to say a special thank you to him. Although I don't know if he's a Packers or a Vikings fan living up there on the border, but neither team was in the play. It was not the Packers weren't playing that game. And also Coach Doug Trenter, as Autumn you said Coach Dougie. So you Coach Dougie, and I think I hit everyone here. I wanted to because to write these articles, it takes a lot of input from both of you, but also your coaches were very helpful. So I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for putting those together. Those were super cool.
Yeah,
Well, you're
I
welcome.
appreciate
You're welcome, and it's deserving. I mean, you as I think someone said here on this podcast, it's rare to have to receive a D1 offer, and you're the lone two here in the WIA. So I think to spotlight you, you're very worthy of that. And here this season, you're having a great season. Both of you are. You're 1-2 for points. So clearly, you're having a great season. Yeah, I mean, so the articles, you're exactly what the player spotlight is intended for, both of you.
And next year we'll be interviewing Michaela Ranke, we've determined at this time. She's 3rd in scoring right now, and she's got a year left.
Oh, she's an 11th grader?
Yeah,
Okay.
Autumn's teammate.
Oh, another soup player coming up. Okay. That's good.
Well, and Burglar's biased towards Superior.
Well, of course.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you do Kendall and Autumn know that particularly Autumn, does she know that you're from Superior? Did you tell her that?
We didn't cover that, but I guess one question I have to ask anybody who's from Superior is, you're not just from Superior. What part of Superior are you from?
I actually live in South Range, which is like 20 minutes outside of Superior in the country. So
Okay, that's where my sister lives, down a stone's throw from the Pattison golf course.
okay, yep, I'm out that way too. So
Okay. I was a Billings Parker.
okay, cool.
Yeah, because everybody I mean, your neighborhoods are very pronounced and distinct in Superior.
Yes.
Everybody plays for their neighborhood first. That's how you get started.
Well, Bergie, that was so long ago. Did they have automobiles, or how did you get around?
Yeah,
Covered
and there were
wagons.
little bridges over the train tracks because I mean, Billings Park. Well, depending on where you live, Billings Park is either the wrong side of the tracks or the right side of the tracks. Depending on your perspective.
Well, moving on to, you guys have both made D1 commits. What do you expect to see your freshman year? Moving on to college, obviously you're the top 2 players in the state right now, but once you move into college, you'll be freshmen again. You'll be sort of at the bottom of the pack all over again. It's a position you haven't been in a while.
Personally for me, I know I'm gonna go in there, and Molly played defense, so I'm gonna try to soak up any information I can get for her. Playing against top competition, I'm not expecting to go in there and like skate around a bunch of people. I just want to sit down, learn a little bit, try to make my presence felt as much as I can as a freshman, and just continue to grow through my 4 years there.
Yeah, for me, I know the intensity and the pace is definitely going to be upped. So like Kendall said, just try to get as much out of every opportunity that we're given and work hard when given it and see where we end up in the lineup and work with what we got and keep grinding. So
I think Kendall used that same line in the profile that Matt did. It immediately brought to mind my favorite baseball movie, Bull Durham, and you just go out there and you announce your presence with authority.
So you both have I know Kendall, you played against the Sabres, because being in the same conference. Have you gotten to talk to their head coach at all, since you played hockey out east in college?
No, I didn't get any talk to her. She wasn't too fond of me, I don't think, during our games, so I just tried to stay away from her a little bit.
All right. Anything else for either of these ladies, or we can let them get back to their normal life? We've tied them up for almost a half an hour now.
Let them go. They got school tomorrow.
Well,
Books to read.
we appreciate you taking time to talk with us. Good luck for the rest of the season. Hope to see you both down in Madison, and continued success with Team Wisconsin after that.
Thank you. I appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. It was a pleasure.
Have a good night.
Although your arm had to be twisted, I understand. All right. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming then. I'm gonna do the players of the week. Okay.
Just
For the
drop
boys'
off.
side,
Kendall
from
and Autumn,
Amory,
just-
we have a forward, Vincent Green, on Tuesday in an 8-3 win over the Northwest Icemen. He had 2 goals and 3 assists. On Friday in a 6-3 win over Black River Falls, 2 goals and 3 assists also. And on Saturday in a 2-1 win over RWD, he had an assist. So easily taking part in almost 2/3 of his team's scoring for the week. Vincent Green from Amory is our Best Western Premier Park Hotel Player of the Week. On the girls' side, Emilia Schultz, a goalie from Western Wisconsin. Let's see. Oh yeah, it had she had 21 saves and 3 goals allowed in a 5-3 win over Chippewa Falls. 14 save shutout in a 6-0 win over Madison Metro Lynx, and a 10 save shutout in the 10 saves in a 6-1 win over. Oh, she had 10 saves. She only played the first 2 periods of that game. They let the backup play the 3rd period, and the backup gave a goal. That's why it was a shutout, but not a shutout. Okay, got it. Amelia Schultz, goaltender, Western Wisconsin Stars, our Best Western Premier Park Hotel Player of the Week on the girls' side. Dang, I jumped right over the games of the week.
You can go out of order.
Well, I already did. Yeah, games of the week. Dell, you had the girls' game.
Yeah, I got to take the back roads on over to Viroqua, to watch Beaver Dam play Viroqua, and Beaver Dam jumped off to the early lead in the 55 seconds into the first period and never relinquished the lead after that. They put up 2 goals in the first period and then another 2 goals in the second, and then nobody scored in the third. The fun part for that night was I actually took my photos between the second and third period from the Viroqua players bench, and interesting conversations going on. One of the players sat there and basically informed me how old I am. And but Burglar, you know what it's like being on the bench, and from having coached and everything. And it's just a different feeling, and it was something that I didn't realize how much I missed until I was back there, and corresponding a little bit with the players throughout the game and trying not to be a distraction on the bench. But they were constantly talking to their coach about, okay, what can I do out here to improve at this thing? And how was that shift? Always looking for the feedback, whether it be, constructive criticism coming or explaining to them what they did well.
Yeah, I always enjoyed it when I was reffing. well, the bench is usually right by the blue line. So if you're the ref on the blue line, you hear a lot of stuff coming from the bench, and I'd hear the weirdest things. These two guys were talking. Yeah, let's dump and chase. Yes, yeah. I don't mind the dumping. I just don't like all that chasing. Anyway, Bill, we kind of got mixed up a little bit in choosing the Fox River Classic Conference Championship as our game of the week, a game that was being played at the same time as the Packers divisional playoff game. So we didn't really want to go. So you streamed it?
I did. I streamed it on NEW Sports Radio, Voice of BP on Twitter. They do an excellent job. I've watched many games on their channel over the last few years, obviously all Bayport games. Bayport had beaten Notre Dame earlier this year. Their first time they've beaten Notre Dame since 2017, I believe they said at the time. But they've played them tougher than just about everybody else in the state in that time. And this time they met for the championship of the Fox River Classic Conference. First period, Notre Dame was all over it. They outshot them 19-10. But at the end of the period, it was Bayport that had a 2-0 lead. The first one, just Bayport flipped the puck up high off the glass and out of their zone, and Cameron Hovden picked it up and headed into the zone, and the Triton defense got back and broke it up really quick, forced him to the far side boards. He got it down to the corner to Mason Spetcher, and Spetcher just kind of fired it out front of the net, and Connor Tignall, everybody on Notre Dame just kind of forgot he was out there, and he was alone in front of the net, knocked it in for a 1-0 lead just 5 minutes in. Then later in the period, Will Lyons break out up the middle to Adrian Vilna, who needs to buy a vowel in his name because it starts with VLN. Breakout pass from him, and he kind of fumbled it right at the center ice dot. He was surrounded by 3 Triton players, and just a little shoulder move, and all of a sudden he was the only one going in on the Leighton Jaschke, the Triton goalie. He put it up over the blocker side to give them that 2-0 lead, and then they just kind of held on. Notre Dame or Bayport came out stronger in the second period. I think they took the first 5 shots of the period, but even in that period, the shots ended up 8-6 in Notre Dame's favor. And then the third period, little more even as there were a couple penalties, but Notre Dame still outshot them 11-7, making it 38-23 on the game. But one power play goal by Andrew Osterman was all that Notre Dame was able to score on Devin Russley, who's had, obviously this is his third very good season as the starter for Bayport. Bayport is very content to let teams shoot from outside and clean up the front of the net. They're very confident in Russley back there. So if you want to fire shots from outside or bad angles, they're just going to let you do it. And they're going to clean up the house in front of the net. So you put some shots on them, but you're not going to get many goals. And with that, Bayport won the Fox River Classic Conference. The last time they won was the 2015-2016 season. And I don't know if they default to be the victor in the 2017-2018 season when Notre Dame had all their wins vacated by the WIAA. I don't know how that works, but otherwise it's been all Notre Dame for a long time in the FRCC.
Yeah, and I have to get back here. When we had our guests at the beginning, and Matt Carey was not had not figured out how to connect with us yet, so we kind of skipped his introduction. But if you're a regular reader of the website, and I know there are at least a couple dozen of you out there,
There are 10.
you've seen Matt Carey. We gave him his own little section, Yours for Hockey, and he's been providing some very interesting reading to us. And thank you for that, Matt. Why don't you want to? Well, and I also have to tell our regular listeners and stuff that we're secretly trying to recruit Matt to join us here at Wisconsin Prep Hockey instead of just being a guest all the time. But anyway, you want to give us a little bit of information about yourself there, Matt?
Well, good. Thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy writing these articles. I don't know how long I've been doing it, maybe a couple years, but probably not as the frequency as it really increased maybe in the last year. So I've written a lot of articles, but the two girls that were on tonight, they're part of a new series that I intend to do called the Player Spotlight. And then I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, I started the Influencers, and that's going to be about people that have had a significant impact on hockey. They're from Wisconsin. So those are two series, and then I've got a few articles in the works right now. One hopefully with insights from a junior scout, just to have that perspective for parents and players. But my background, I grew up in Wisconsin. I played hockey in Sun Prairie. I was a goalie, and it feels like a lifetime ago, and it really was. And I've been on different coaching staffs on high schools, coached youth hockey, was Cal Roadhouse's assistant at University School, was an assistant at West under Lee Skilly, and also Stoughton under Matt Walsh. And I started Team Wisconsin and did that for a handful of years. And I did move away to Colorado for about 10 years, and I'm back now, back home. It was a good extended vacation. It's one way to look at it, to move out to Colorado. But I'm back here and I really enjoy it. And I love high school hockey. That's why I do it. I love the high school hockey and just hockey in general. But the high school hockey is special to me because it was really important to me growing up. And it's just my way to give back. And I think that for some of these articles, like on Kendall and Autumn, I think it's important to highlight them because it's just a really special accomplishment for them, to lead the state in points and also go receive a scholarship offers. I think that's special. So is that good enough? Or
Yeah. Yeah. Matt and I first met back in what would have been the summer of 2000, which Matt said he started Team Wisconsin, and my other son, that's not Bill. Bill's younger brother was a goalie on Team Wisconsin, and Matt tried his best to coach him somewhat.
Well, he was a good goalie, and he was a good goaltender. So he was a goalie though. So so if you know what that means, but
yes, he still is.
Yeah, still. But no, he was a good goaltender, and we had a good team, and we, if I remember correctly, he was on the team with, we had Evan Salmela was, I think, the first player of the year.
Mr.
Yep,
Hockey.
Mr.
Yep.
Hockey, yeah, the first Mr. Hockey, and we beat the Chill to go to nationals, and that was the first nationals for Team Wisconsin, and your son was the goalie out there, and we steamrolled the teams out at nationals. And then we ran into a kid, Jordan Murphy. I'll never forget the name because we outplayed him, and we just couldn't get the puck in. I think, and if I remember correctly, Joe Pavelski actually had a penalty shot.
He did
in that game, yeah, and we still couldn't score. So we got knocked out by a hot goaltender. But it really put us on the map, I think, Wisconsin in general, because when we got out there, a lot of those teams didn't have much. They didn't think much of us. And then our first game in that nationals, we played the Eastern Mass Senators, and they already had a handful of kids that were committed D1, and most people thought that we were going to get beaten easily, and we physically dominated them, and that was our game one. We were really the talk of the tournament. Just the early success of Team Wisconsin, I think, really helped put the program, but also, the spotlight for scouts to come into Wisconsin, because I think prior to that, people go to Minnesota, or they would go to AAA, which was starting to gain traction, all the AAA programs, even in Wisconsin. But the Team Wisconsin really helped, I think helped strengthen the high school hockey, in addition just to hockey in general.
right. It proved that you don't have to go and join, give up your high school team and go to play on one of those AAA teams, or go play on a minor junior team in order to advance. You'd get the same opportunities on Team Wisconsin.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And the one thing it really does is just provides an additional option, because that's really what you're trying to do. Because each family will make the decision on what they want to do. But I mean, now with the team Wisconsin, and when we were those first few years, it was actually U17.5. So if you look at it, we won our national championship in 2002. That was the final year of that age classification. Now it's U8, it's 18. There's an 18 and a 16. But back then there was a 17.5, and then it went down to 14. But now you have 18, 16. But you're right. You make a great point, because now the kids, I mean, you can play in Team Wisconsin, particularly if you play in that elite league and you're playing the best hockey until you get to juniors, really, in that elite league. And we're fortunate because it's particularly the kids that live, in Western Wisconsin, because most of the games are over in the cities and they don't have to drive very far to get to what would be the best hockey, in my opinion, prior to going to juniors.
Yeah, and I thought it was just a ploy, but I mean, on that team when Bob played, there were probably about half the kids that played a fall sport. Some of them played football, some of them played soccer, but I mean, they were able to play their fall sport for their high school and still play in the fall schedule of the Team Wisconsin before portion.
Yeah, well, that was by design, really. I really wanted to make sure that the kids didn't have to make an either or decision, so that they could do both. So we always kept a few extra kids on the roster that could play in the fall, but then when you got to the springtime, you had to cut the roster down to the USA Hockey 20. But we always had more than that in the fall, because you're right, there were kids that were, well, we had some kids. I remember Nick Sirota. I mean, I remember driving on a Saturday up to Greenheck up there in Schofield and reading an article. I mean, he scored a touchdown every way you can. I mean, he played both ways: punt return, kick return. He did kickoffs. He ran the ball. He did everything. So, and I was shocked, really, truly impressed with some of those kids. I mean, that they would play. I mean, both ways in football, very physically demanding. And then they would show up and they play 2 or 3 games on the weekend after, the playing football.
Beaver Dam, right?
Beaver Dam, yeah,
Yeah.
he was a tough cookie. we had some really exceptional athletes. Adam Burish, he was an elite soccer player too, all city and heck of a player. So quite a few of those kids were.
Okay, so now we got that introduction and stuff out of the way, and back to regular business. Bill, why don't you tell us if there's been any movement in the top sixes?
Sure thing. Division 2, top 6. The top 3 are the same: New Richmond, Oregon, Amory. New Richmond and Oregon are still splitting the first place votes. St. Mary Springs moves up to 4th. They were 6th last week. Tomahawk is still 5th, and River Falls moved down to 6th. They were 4th last week. Also receiving votes in Division 2 were Lakeland, Menominee, and Monona Grove. For the girls, Superior is still number 1. Central Wisconsin still 2. St. Clair Valley still 3. Bay Area, Hayward, and Hudson are still 4, 5, and 6. No movement on the girls this week. Also receiving votes were the Warbirds and Western Wisconsin. And then in Division 1, Spash is still unanimous number 1. Chippewa Falls, Bayport, Eau Claire Memorial are still 2, 3, and 4. Edgewood moved up to 5th, and Brookfield dropped down to 6th. And then also receiving votes this week were Hudson and Notre Dame. Not a lot of movement this week.
No, you get this far into the season and you've got a pretty good idea of who's who. Okay, upcoming games of the week. Dell, what are you going to do on Friday?
Friday, I'm going to make the trip on over to Heartland and catch Medford at Arrowhead. And that will actually mean I will have seen 20 of the 27 teams play in person after that evening. And my goal is to see the last 7 by February 10th.
So for those of you that missed his announcement before the season started, this is Dell's last season with Wisconsin Prep Hockey. He's retiring from the biz. And his goal for this year is to see all 27 girls teams live.
His farewell tour. And then the boys game of the week. We don't normally, I mean, last week we accidentally, had a game that we didn't actually go to. We just watched it streaming. But that was because of, circumstances. But this week we're actually picking a game that we know we can't get to because it's somewhere over by the Twin Cities on Friday night at 7:30, and none of us can really get over there by then. But Somerset and New Richmond will be playing each other they're calling it the Winter Classic. It is an outdoor game. I'm trying to pull it up here.
Hastings, Minnesota.
Yes, at the United Hero, the rank, the United Heroes League rink. Shields United Heroes rink. Proceeds of the game will go directly to the United Heroes League. The United Heroes League works to provide sports equipment, offers sports camps, subsidizes association fees, and distributes sporting event tickets and special experiences to military children. So, a good cause. Somerset and New Richmond playing in Hastings on a looks like a nice setup they got. Well, there's a little bit of bleachers over on the side there, but not a whole lot of seating. But over there in Hastings, Minnesota, outdoor game. What's the forecast for Hastings, Minnesota for Friday? Hopefully it's not raining. I think
Oh,
we're supposed to get rain here late in the week.
Friday, no rain, but it's going to be kind of warm. Good thing they got that compressor under the ice there. It is a refrigerated outdoor rink. It's not purely nature.
Okay, time for final thoughts.
Well, first, MJ is, in Janesville trying to convince the city council to vote yes on their new rink plan. So, if he got up and spoke, that probably hurts their chances. But if he was just there lending his support, in spirit, then, it's probably okay.
How big was that rink supposed to be? I don't think it was big enough for the. I don't think it was like 4,000 or 5,000
No,
seating,
it's not
was
that
it?
big. No, it's not that big.
Okay. All right. Del, you got any questions for Matt? Like, is he going to replace you or?
well, I think I think that it's a very high upgrade. He comes in place of me and stuff, and he knows he's better at asking the questions of the players and coaches, and I think the articles would be a vast improvement if he covers any of the games.
Well, we're trying to sucker Matt into it, but he hasn't agreed to anything yet.
No.
So,
But he did say the same thing that Trasher and I said way back when we started this. We just like high school hockey. I tell people that, well, what do you do up there? Well, during the summer I golf. During the winter I go to high school hockey games.
yeah, I actually, in the car a couple weeks ago, Burglar and I were going up to Lakeland to see the Tomahawk and Lakeland game. And, I pointed out, Trasher retired a couple years ago from Wisconsin Prep Hockey. Dell is retiring this year. Burglar is 66 now. I asked, how much longer are you going to do this? And he said, well, this is my winter hobby. And he did not indicate that any retirement from Wisconsin Prep Hockey was on the horizon.
I don't know what I would do all winter if it wasn't, high school hockey. I mean, the Packers only take one day a week.
Well, and see, that's where, with me doing my Bikers Against Child Abuse, that keeps me busy year round. And so I go, even if we're not on the bikes, we still have abused children that we have to visit and set up meetings with and things like that. So, and I'm constantly busy with that. I was just down in Houston for an international conference on that line. And I keep getting myself busier with it.
Well, yeah, if anything, I'm going to have more time in a couple of years when I actually get to, quit my day job. But the lovely Mrs. Berg isn't ready to let me do that yet. So Matt, anything else you want to tell us? Any
No,
any
no.
upcoming articles you got?
Yeah, I think I mentioned well, there's a JJ Marthaler article that I'll have to you probably Thursday. Essentially, it's done. I just don't want to get it posted now because the games that he plays in Korea aren't till Saturday.
Oh, I meant to ask. Yeah, I heard a couple. What the Junior Olympics or something?
Yeah, the Youth Olympics. I have an
Youth
article on that.
Olympics.
Yeah, I interviewed him, and similar format I did with Kendall and Autumn. And then when he was here in Chippewa, I got a photo of him and his parents, really nice people. And then have some good photos and have a good article. It's a couple days away. We could probably. I mean, it's probably ready now, but truthfully, I think it's the timing makes sense to have it in the latter part of this week since he doesn't begin playing games until Saturday. I think it would be so that one's ready, and then I have in my mind working around some articles to do, but the JJ Marthaler article is this week.
So I can assume that he's the only Wisconsin player on that team.
Well, yeah, and you'll see in the article that there's four. This is the fourth Winter Youth Olympics, and every year there's been just one player from Wisconsin that has been on it, and JJ's the only one. So they're all I don't know what year in high school they are, but they're all the same birth year, so they're 08s. I think everyone on the team's an 08. They're from all over the country. Minnesota has a handful, and then there's Michigan. They're from all over the country, but JJ's the only one from Wisconsin. So it's an honor. I mean, and if you see when you read the article, you'll see the past Wisconsin kids that have been in there, and he's amongst some elite company of Wisconsinites that have been in this Youth Olympics.
So is well, not to promote the Youth Olympics necessarily, but is there a way to watch that?
Yeah, I put it in the article. I just took it from the USA Hockey the website. It says streaming, so
Okay.
I haven't tried it, and hopefully I put in the correct times because the time zone.
Well, if it's in Korea, they're like it's
9.
during the overnight.
Yeah, no, some of the yeah, I don't even know. I got confused looking on trying to figure that out. But I put times on there and then a link to where USA Hockey said you could stream the games. And that's why I think it makes sense we'll get that posted here the latter part of this week, just a day or two before the actual games. Pretty cool.
Okay.
What I didn't know is that you could be gone that long, which I wasn't certain of with the WIA because they have some rules on in season, but obviously because it's a USA Hockey event and part of a Olympics for youth, I'm sure that there was probably some exceptions made.
Yeah, I know in the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, there have been high school players who had an opportunity to play, something else during the middle of the season. And I know at first the WIAA was holding firm that, once they played somewhere else, they were done with their high school team. But I think enough people made enough stink that this is like, a huge opportunity and an honor to represent your country and stuff. And yeah, you don't take away their eligibility for that. And I think they've kind of softened their stance a little bit.
Yeah, which is good because I mean it'd be a parallel to the NCAA, the World Juniors just occurred, and I mean those kids that are the Badgers, the Gophers, they're NCAA players and they take off to go to the World Juniors for a couple weeks. So there's a parallel there, and it makes sense for the WIA to do that. So
I mean, it's like anything else with the WIA. The first answer is always to throw the rule book at you and say that it is written in stone and unbendable. And then you just keep pestering them until they bend.
Yeah. And in this case, I think your dad makes a good point. I mean, there's probably enough people that push back, and it's just, I mean, it's the right thing to do to let a kid go play in some event like this, to represent your country, put your country, put the USA jersey on. That's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
And I believe 08s are sophomores.
Yeah, we have there are some 07s I've seen on some rosters that are on sophomores as well. But yeah, I think probably 08 would be the most common. And so my guess is that this is also probably a look for the NTDP. It's just my speculation. No one told me that, but you're taking a group of 08s that are sophomores. It's probably their first look, an extended look to see who they might take for their national team development program.
Well, yeah, they'd be silly not to go watch.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I know we're about ready to wind it down, but appreciate being a guest here, and thank you for everything you guys do.
Well, thank you for being here. Yeah, and your articles are very popular this season. You might be the first contributor to unseat Dan Bauer as the most popular contributor. People love Dan.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah.
Even though he's kind of lost his way, and his last couple articles have been about football.
Well, they're about sport culture in general, because sports culture is kind of back-asswards sometimes.
Okay. Dell, you got anything else?
The reminder about the Hobie Baker Awards. I see that Jim Hayes sent out his emails to the coaches, reminding them that their nominees have to be in by February 6th.
Has he gotten any yet, or didn't he say?
I didn't see anything from him. I'll send him an email tomorrow and ask.
Okay.
Uh,
Again, that's something we encourage all the coaches to do. Nominate somebody. It's got to be
And-
somebody in your team that's a good kid.
Remind all the coaches out there that the unsung hero nominations, Junior and I sent out the emails requesting you guys to start working on those, and you can start turning them in anytime. Did we put the date as February 18th, Junior?
I believe so.
But sooner's better than later.
Does the nomination for the Hobie Baker, does that have to come from a member of the coaching staff?
That's the way it's always been, is he sends it out to the coaching staff, and it's just a senior on their team that, reflects the characteristics of the Hobie Baker. And so, it's got to be a senior, but all our teams have seniors on them, and I'm sure you got at least one senior that reflects those characteristics and, is a good person to nominate for those awards. And it'd be great to see 100% participation. Jim Hayes says that Wisconsin's probably about the highest in participation of it as it is over the past few years.
All right, send us home.
Oh, yes. All right. So that's it for us. Thank you, Matt Carey, for joining us. Thanks again to Autumn Cooper and Kendall Sundby. Wishing them continued success this year. And for Dell Scanlon and Bill II, this is old Bill Berg saying, keep your stick on the ice, and we'll see you again next week on This Week in Wisconsin Prep Hockey.